Okay, hello there. I'm Dennis. Today we're going to install ArchLinux32. This is their webpage, ArchLinux32.org. I'd suggest that you mark this in your favorites. First thing you're going to need is ISO. I just covered that, but you could click on the download here and click on an ISO or a link, a torrent link. Or you could choose a mirror and just have a straight download. Either way, you've got it, and you got it burned on your USB. If you click right here on the middle right of your screen here, it says Upstream Installation Guide. Click on that. That'll bring you here, and it'll walk you through the steps. Now, I'm not going to refer a whole lot to this during the installation, but there's a lot of information out there where you can look through this stuff. You could actually read through it yourself, and then you'll understand. In fact, I would do that. I would start right here. I'd get my ISO, put it on USB, then I would just take a glance through here and read some of it, read through it. You may not know what it is, and you might get tired of going from one link to another, but try to stay on the page. If it's something you don't understand, just come back to it later. But I suggest getting at least a little bit familiar with it. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to install ArchLinux32. One thing I'll cover before we get there is during our partitioning of our disk, we're going to have to create what Linux calls a swap space. Now in Windows, and I use this as a reference because I feel like you're real familiar with Windows, it's equivalent to a page file. And what we're going to do is I've gave my virtual drive 4 gigabytes of RAM. According to this chart, which is from Ubuntu, longest name or a name with the longest history in Linux, Ubuntu. It recommends that if we're going to, on a laptop where you would have hibernation, we're going to assume 4 gigabytes of RAM. We're going to give it a 6 gigabyte space, swap space. So minimize that and let's get started here. I got ArchLinux32 ready to go in a virtual machine. I'm giving it a 56 gig hard drive. Give it a 4 gigabytes of RAM, 2 cores of my processor. Turn the video memory all the way up. Let's get started here. And I'll probably need to adjust this. Try that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control F and get in full screen, and this will be what you see when you boot up to it. Your entire screen will be filled up with this boot screen. You need to just hit Enter. Okay, so the first thing the wiki says do, and I suggest also, is let's find out if we're online. So we're going to do that by typing in ping and a space, and then a dash and a C, and just choose a number 7. And then we're going to say ArchLinux32.org. Now, if we're online, we'll see it's pinging, and when it hits the 7th one, it'll stop and report. And there we go. Received 7 packets, no loss. We're good to go. Let's set our local time, date, CTL, space, set, hyphen, NTP, space, TRUE. Okay. Now you can up arrow that last command back into there and take out the set and replace it with status. And that'll tell you right there we've got the local time set. Okay, so now we need to partition our disk first. Where are our disks? Let's find out. We're going to type in LSBLK, which in Linux world that stands for list block devices. Now, down near the bottom of the screen, second line up, it says SDA, and it says that is 56 gigabytes. So SDA is our hard drive. I suspect this is what you'll see. The difference will be in the size. Still should be listed as SDA unless you've got another hard drive installed. Let me clear the screen with hitting Control L, LSBLK, so you can see it again. And we're going to use a program called CF Disk, and we're going to use it on device SDA, which we just saw is our hard drive. Now, seeing how we're doing legacy mode, we're going to select DOS. Okay, now this is CF Disk, and you can see at the top there, that top line has 56 gigabytes listed under the size. So I'm going to hit enter when it's on new, and I'm going to leave 6 gigs because I got 4 gigabytes of RAM, so 1.5 times that is going to be 6 gigs. And I slide over to type and hit enter, and number 82 there, Linux swap, hit enter. Okay, so now you can see we got 6 gigs at the top. That's going to be Linux swap. Okay, arrow key down to get that remainder of that space. And in this case, I'm going to backspace all that out and just write in there 20 capital G, which will be 20 gigabytes. And it is primary. And we need to make this one bootable. And you can see at the top there, second column says boot, and we have an asterisk there. Okay, now we're going to arrow key down for the remainder of the space and just keep hitting enter till you get to this screen again. Okay, so now we've got 3 partitions. We got swap space, partition 1, which is going to be our root drive, or in Windows this would be your C. And now we have a home directory or a home space, and in Windows this would be a D drive. So I'm ready to write this out. Everything looks right. Hit enter. Okay, it's going to make you type in the word yes or no. If you was unsure, you could type in no and redo it. But this is all good, so I'm going to hit yes, and it's finished that quick. Now I'm going to use the arrow keys and slide over to quit. I'm going to say Control L, clear the screen. Now if I type in LSBLK one more time, you'll see now we have SDA1 divided into 3 partitions, 6 gigabytes, 20 gigabytes, and 30 gigabytes. So now we need to do something with those. Let's format them. So the first one in line there is MKSWAP swap on, or make swap, space / on device SDA1. Okay, hit enter. Now let's turn that swap space on by typing in swap on, one word, and locating that same device, SDA1, hit enter. Now we have swap space. Now we need to make a file system, and in Windows they use, or have been using for many years now, NTFS, and we're going to use a ext4, and that's extended 4 file system. So we're going MKFS period ext4 space, where we're going to make it on device SDA2. Hit enter. Okay, up arrow, bring that last command back. Backspace the 2 out of there, replace it with the 3, and hit enter. Okay, I'm going to Control L, that will clear the screen. Now we're going to mount. We got to mount right now it's just floating there. It's not attached to anything. No way to make a path to it unless we mount it. So we're going to LSBLK so you can see them again. And we're going to mount SDA2. So we're going to mount device SDA2. And where are we going to mount it? We're going to mount it to /MNT. Alright, hit enter. Now we need a place for our home directory. Since we've created a separate partition for it, we need to make that directory, and we're going to say make dir MKDIR space /MNT /home for our home directory, or in Windows it would be your D drive or data drive. Now we need to mount that, so mount what? Device SDA3. You're going to mount it to the directory we just created, which is /MNT /home. Okay, so now if I go LSBLK, list block devices, you will see on the far right of SDA2 it says it's mounted. SDA3 is mounted to MNT home. So, very good. Now, I'm going to do a little personal tweak here so that we can see the total progress of our installation as it's downloading. So, in order to do that, we're going to edit our pacman.conf file, remove the hash sign or pound symbol from color and total download, and I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to use the arrow key, get in that blank space, capital I, capital L, O, V, E, capital C, A, N, D, Y. Okay. I'm going to also, oh, that's all I can do right now. This is Nano, a program called Nano, a text editing program. In order to get out of here or write our changes, you go Control O, and then you're going to enter to confirm, then Control X to get out of here, Control L will clear the screen. So, real quick, not sure that blinded you. Real quick, let's go back to the installation guide and I'll show you where we're at. Right here, we've already partitioned the disk, we've formatted the disk, and we've mounted the disk. The next step is to use a command called packstrap. Packstrap is a script to install the base package, Linux kernel, and firmware for common hardware. And it's anything you can, it's a download script that's going to install all the programs that we were asked for it right here into that device that we just mounted called /MNT or C drive. So we get all that by going packstrap. I usually go packstart because I got dyslexia. Packstrap space /MNT. Alright, so we're going to get base hyphen devel. We're going to get Linux for a kernel. We're going to get Linux hyphen firmware for any audio devices or hardware that we may not have. Now we're going to get that same text editor, Nano, back. We're also going to need a network manager. We're going to need a network hyphen manager hyphen applet USB utils. Then we're going to need GVFS. Then we're going to want NTFS hyphen 3G pacman contrib hyphen contrib git wget yajl dos fs tools m tools s hyphen nail mdadm bash hyphen completion num block x. Then we're going to want man hyphen db, and then man hyphen pages. You're being on a laptop with Wi-Fi, chances are pretty good you may need one of these following programs. So we're going to say dialog. Okay, dialog, WPA underscore supplicant, then wireless underscore tools. Let's see, net CTL and INET utils. Okay. So that will get you any of the networking programs or software that you may need. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to install any of that wireless or Wi-Fi stuff, but you will. So if this is all spelled right, we're going to hit enter, and it'll tell me if it's spelled right or not. So while it's doing this, we got base devel, Linux, which is the kernel. Okay, so you can see here this is 508.24 download size, and when it gets to installing, it's little over 2 gigs. 2 gigs and 62 megs. So not very bad. I'm going to pause the video because this will take a minute. Okay, so I'm going to come back a little bit early and go back to here. In our next step, we just did the packstrap command here, which is the install script. Well, next step, when it gets through, is we're going to generate a file system table. And there's the command right there. And then we're going to arch root over into our system. So up to this point, we've been working on the USB drive, and that's all. It's been using the USB drive and your RAM. And that's the same thing Windows does. You paid attention a lot of times during the install of Windows XP anyway, you would see that it actually set up, I believe it called it RAM drive, and it was just a temporary space for it to load the stuff that it needed to load to start the installation. And so now, right when we do this GenFS tab, the next step is to arch root over onto MNT. And if you'll remember, we mounted MNT, and that is our hard drive. Once we get to this point, we will actually transfer from the USB ISO over to our hard drive, which is going to have all of this stuff installed on it that we just asked for. We're going to basically go through here. One thing I didn't cover was the key maps or the keyboard. If you're watching this and you're in another place besides America, you will need to know how to set up your keyboard. You can go back to the wiki right here, set the keyboard layout. This would be the command that you run to see all of the availables. Once you see that, once you run this and you see which one yours is, they use DE-Latin, looks like 1, as an example here. So you would run this command, and that part of it would be your keyboard. All right, now that would get you into the installation. But once we arch to root, you're going to have to right here, at the middle of the installation, you're going to have to make that permanent, or what they call persistent, so that every time you load or every time you start that machine, it will start your keyboard. Otherwise, you'll have to do that temporary command every time, I believe. All right, so wanted to cover that. Oh, good, it's through downloading. Right Control F to get back in full screen here, take away all that distraction. There we go. No errors. I'm going to Control L to clear the screen. Now GenFSTAB space -P space -U space /MNT space, then 2 greater than symbols or chevrons space /MNT /etc/FS tab. And what we've essentially done is we're going to tell the system to generate a file system table and use the -U for universally unique identifier, and we're going to put that in etc/FS tab. And right now we had to include mount because we're not over on the mount. If we were actually on the hard drive, we would not have to include the MNT. So I'm going to hit enter, then up arrow that right back. I'm going to left arrow all the way back to the chevrons, and then I'm going to substitute cat, make sure I got a space there, and hit enter, and that will show you your file system tables. Next thing to do is arch, not space, -CHROOT space /MNT. All right, if you'll notice the prompt change, now we have a slash, an in bracket, and a hashtag or a hash symbol. Before we had a tittle and a @ sign. So now we're over on our actual hard drive, LSBLK. Okay, there we are. So now you notice the SDA2 is not listed as MNT, it's just a /. Now we're going to have to set up our time zone, and we do that by running ln, create a symbolic link, and then space -sff ln space -sf space /user USR, don't put that as a user /share /zone info / now if you didn't know what your options was, you double tab there and it'll show you here all the different time zones. Ours is in America, or mine is in America, so it's the second one down on the left there. It's America. So I go capital AMERICA / and again, now if I don't know the time zone, I hit show me all the possibilities, and Chicago is in the central time zone. It's in the second column from the left, about 3 down. Up arrow that last command back, type in Chicago, and there's our time zone, America, Chicago. Space /Etsy /local time, all one word. Hit enter. Okay, now we got to set our hardware clock. HWCLOCK space -- sys TOHC space -- UTC. Alright, go ahead and enter. Alright, so I'm going to Control L, clear the screen. Now, if you'll remember, I adjusted my pacman.conf file, but that was just temporary. Now we're going to go back and make it permanent. Scroll down to miscellaneous options. We're going to remove the hashtag or uncomment color, as well as total download size. We're going to hit enter, up arrow into that empty space there, ILOVECANDY. And if you'll notice, that's a capital I, a capital L, and a capital C. I'm going to also uncomment verbose package list. And that's all we can do in here. Control O, enter, Control X, Control L to clean the screen. Alright, now next thing, we have to set up our time zone, a hardware clock. Now we need to set our locale. So nano, which is our text editor, space /etc /locale period GEN. Hit enter, and we're going to go down. You'll notice right there under examples, that's what I'm looking for, English US. If you're not in the US, you look for whatever country you're in, your language. So mine is English US .utf or period UTF. Okay, I'm going to remove that hash sign, remove the pound symbol, and this is nano again. Control O to write it out, enter to confirm, Control X to get out of here, Control L to clear the screen. Now we got a locale -GEN. Hit enter. Okay, now I can echo language equals EN underscore US dot UTF -8 greater than symbol, and we're going to put that in Etsy locale with a E.conf and hit enter. Now I'm going to up arrow and bring that back. I'm going to backspace everything off except for the language section. Go back down here to the echo and replace that with the word export. Alright, boom. So now we just set up our locale. Now we need to create a host name. The host name is going to be what this computer is called on the internet. If you was setting up a home networking and you was looking for this computer, what would it be named? In this case, I'm going to name it Arch32, but I got to echo that. Echo. Actually, let's just do it this way. Nano /Etsy host name. Hit enter, and then ArchLinux32. This is nano, so we're going to Control O to write it out, enter to confirm, Control X, get out of here, Control L. Okay, so we just created a host name. Now we're going to edit our host plural file, nano/etc host with a S. Hit enter. Arrow down to get us some space underneath there and go 127.0.0.1. Then we're going to tab and say local host, all one word. Hit enter. Then go ::1. Tab, local host, again, all one word. Hit enter. Then it's 127.0.1.1. Then tab, and then our host name, which was Arch32, period, local domain, all one word, and then tab one more time and repeat your host name, Arch32. Okay, now at that bottom line, let me arrow back over here, this line right here, if you have a static IP address and it's permanent, that's what should go right there. Alright, so when you're sure this is right, Control O to write it out, enter to confirm, Control X, get out of here, Control L will clear the screen. So that was our hosts file, and now we need to create a password for the root user or the system administrator. So do that, you go passwd, password, and hit enter. It'll ask you for a password, and then it's going to ask you to repeat it or confirm it, and it has been updated successfully. Okay, now we are going to say user add hyphen space hyphen lowercase m space hyphen capital G. Here is a bunch of groups, and I know you're not going to understand what all these are and what they imply and what they allow you to do and not do, but I suggest you get them all, and that way you won't have to worry about it. If you decide later on you don't need one, you can always remove it or remove your name from it. I'm going to be quiet and just get this over with here. They're all separated only by a comma. Video users RF kill space hyphen S space slash / bin/BASH space, and then your username. Okay. Notice all the groups are only separated by a comma. That looks right. Hit enter. So I'm going to type in groups and say my username, and it should return all the groups that I'm a member of, and it does. So now Dennis needs a password, so PASSWD, then your username, in my case is Dennis. It'll ask me for a new password, even though I've never had one. It's going to ask me to reconfirm it, and I'm going to say okay. Now Dennis is going to need rights to be able to update his machines. Editor, capital, all caps, editor equals NANO space VISUDO. Hit enter. And we're going to scroll down with the arrow key till we find user privilege specification. And the user is, oops, not a capital. The user is Dennis space capital ALL equals parentheses a capital ALL in parentheses space capital ALL. Hit enter. scroll down to where it says uncomment to allow members of the group will to execute any command. Take that hashtag off of there. And again, this is nano, so to get out of here, we're going to say Control O, Enter to confirm, Control X to get out of here, Control L to clear the screen. I'm going to resync my databases by typing in pacman-syy. Now we're ready to install a bootloader. So with pacman space capital S, and we're going to be using grub. Enter to confirm, enter to install. This is pretty small, it won't take but a minute. Okay, I'm going to Control L to clear the screen there and enter a few times to get us back down. So now we've downloaded grub. Now we need to install grub. grub-install space. And we're going to give it a target --target equals i386-PC. Now we're going to select the device SDA, which is the total hard drive. It's not a partition. Make sure you do not list a partition right here. Okay, so then space --, recheck, so we can feel better that it's going to get done correctly. And what we're looking for here is job complete, no errors to report. And since we used the recheck flag, it's going to take just a second longer, but it's worth it because it'll return any errors if we don't, or if we have any. We're about ready to reboot. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can sure hear my hard drive spinning. Oh, 10,000 RPM. Okay, installation finished. No errors reported. So now we have to make a configuration file. So grub -mkconfig, and that we're going to go -o for output, and this is where it's going to go. /boot/grub/grub.cfg. Hit enter. Okay, one last step. Make init cpio space -P space linux. Hit enter. We're building an image of our grub file, and it's going to take an image of it right now, and that's the way it's going to be. The wiki says this step is not necessary because it's usually ran. Okay, so that did. Let me Control L. I'm going to type in the word exit, which will get us out of the root environment, or not environment, but control. So we're going to type in umount space capital R space /mnt. And that's going to unmount everything that's mounted. I'm going to shut down now and get me out of full screen. While I do that, shut down now. I want you to remove your USB, and I'm going to remove my attachment. Okay. This is the end of part 1. Part 2 will be installing a desktop environment or graphical user interface. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with part 2.